You know, the funny thing is, whenever, like, you don't see it down below, but Shadow is always like banging his head whenever I do the little intro thing. But all right, it's Rick. I'm now known as Rick, the pro roleplay game master. Okay,
I'm a noob. I was called a noob today.
Noob? What does that mean?
You know what noob is?
Yeah, I know what noob is. But what does that mean to you?
It means noob.
Noob.
I'm new. I'm new to the RPG community. Apparently, people keep dragging me into it. I'm like, no.
Well, I'm dragging you into this.
Okay.
I'm dragging you, Shauner.
I'm just this
guy. I did a comment just to let everybody know on one of Bob the World Builder's little kind of like an intro clip to one of his videos as some sort of YouTube thing. I guess it's on his community board. He's announcing that he's got this new and I'll show you guys.
It's a series, like a playlist or something.
So he's doing a designing Zelda style dungeons for TTRPGs is easier than you think. Hi, Bob the Builder. Tell us more. But we're not going to get into that. I'm just like curious, like why would you want to go ahead and turn your game into something that is a video game kind of style gimmick? And yeah. Why?
He's a franchise guy. He's trying to make money on his channel, so he's going to do all the franchise stuff.
So yeah,
whatever's trending on YouTube, he's going to talk about it.
Exactly. So yeah, a new Zelda game is coming out, and that's what we were kind of getting to. But I wrote a comment in here, and let's drag it over here so I can see it a little better. And what I say is just play Zelda. Learn how to actually roleplay. Of all things, a role-playing game should consist of actually role-playing. Quit board gaming it and stop trying to make it a video game. Roleplay. I know Bob doesn't roleplay, but you would think that it would be important in a role-playing game.
Now, is there a roleplay, like a tabletop RPG version of Zelda? I think there is.
Yeah, there might be.
There has to be. Using Zelda game system? I don't know.
Possibly. But yeah, I got a bunch of replies. So what we're going to do today is kind of go through everybody's replies to me. And we'll start with Discord here. He says, nah, just make a game you and your players want. No one can tell you how your game should be. Who TF cares? Who the fuck cares?
Does he have videos on his channel?
Let's find out. Here, and he has no content.
Oh, yeah. Sounds like par for the course.
All right, so, and I replied to him, he adds something below here. He says, plus, these dungeons create role-play opportunities through problem solving. I think you should learn how to DM.
What does that mean? Does he attend AA meetings or something?
He thinks I should learn how to DM.
Is he projecting?
Maybe.
Is he going through coping skills in his life right now? And he found something on the internet and he's sharing it with us. Problem solve.
So I reply to him. I say, I assume you don't roleplay then. And
oh man, shots fired.
Yeah. then I just said, watch my live play.
Why would you say that? Why?
Because I'm pulling a shotter.
Oh, okay.
Well, I want to hear people scream, flesh burn, all that stuff.
You're making friends.
The hard way.
How to influence people.
That should have been the name of your book. Alrighty, so yeah, I say watch my live plays if he wants to, watch, start learning or something. I like I say, I'm not the best game master out there, and I'm not the best role player out there. But what I try to do is
but you're at least role playing.
Trying, yeah, I'm trying to get my players to role play, and in some cases they are really succeeding.
And what you guys are doing is like far and above the bare minimum requirements to play D&D.
There we go. I get sort of a stamp of approval from Shotter. Anyways,
you're actually doing what the advertisements in the magazine said back in the 80s.
Okay.
Choose your own adventure. You can role play your own character.
Choose it wisely. So it says, what's this guy? Sammykins? He says, role playing isn't the only element. If role playing was the only thing, there would be no reason for stats, skills, combat rules, dice, and it would just be acting.
It would just be
scenes.
It would just be a story. It would just be drama class.
Yeah, I get those comments every day on my channel. Every day. Does he have any videos on this channel?
Probably not. Probably.
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, with that big S there, I doubt it.
Oh, that's right.
It's usually if they don't have a avatar, it's... Anyways, so yeah, what I say to that,
but okay, role playing isn't the only element. So there's other elements besides role playing. But then he says role playing is basically no dice and acting. So which is it? Is role playing an element of the game, or is role playing just acting and nothing else?
That's the thing.
He wants both ways.
They call it a role playing game, so there has to be some role playing to it.
But you don't actually role play in the game, do you? That's crazy talk.
Apparently. So
just do the bare minimum, Rick. Just do the bare minimum. Just don't try to be better than other people. Can't you just be a flat worlder player? Just be a 2D player like everyone else.
Damn it, Shauner, you brought me into the third dimension. What am I gonna do now? I can't go back.
Yeah, I've been seeing 1D players in games. That's scary. They're just dots. They're not even a line. They're just a dot.
So a 1D player would be somebody that just rolls the dice.
Yeah.
When told. They
never say where they're at. They're just a head that the DM moves for them. They're just a thumbnail. That's all they are.
They do this. Through the video.
I don't know. They just do a lot of. They do a lot of. I don't know. They tend to wear glasses, so you see the screen reflecting off their glasses, and they're in the dark, so you don't even see their face. They look kind of spooky, just a silhouette of their body, and it's like they're peeping toms in the game, or they're audience members in the game. Instead of players, they're acting like part of the audience.
Right.
Like, who invited them into the game if they're not going to even role play? And then they actually say stuff like, I'm going to do what everyone else is doing. I'm going to follow along with everyone else is doing. Yeah, I'll follow behind. That's their answer to everything. They get to roll initiative once in a while. Big whoop. Then they go home and say, I role played.
That's pretty much it.
It's scary.
So yeah, it's a lot of people not knowing what a role play is, and
No.
what can you do?
None of these people know who the gentleman gamer is, I bet you. None of them.
So yeah, I will put some links down below once this video is done, and have some links to people that at least are attempting to do the role play. That
Black Lodge Games, those guys are back after a long-ass hiatus.
and of course Abe and his incredible
Yep.
playthrough. You know,
Yeah, I'm sure none of these people have heard of Abe either.
so
Abe has had his channel has been steady for years. Literally years, like a decade, I bet.
And-
My channel comes and goes. His was steady the whole time.
I wonder if he got a good boost from his live play. I hope he did. So
You have to do what RPG Elite does. You have to be in the Discord. You have to be in the Gilded. You have to do this and you do that, and you say, "Hey, everybody," and you spam all the forums with your YouTube channel.
right, and
You
then
have to do
you tease the whole thing through and give them little tiny bits. Of
Yeah, and you
information.
break up your role play. The most important part of role playing, elite role play. You take the 10th part of role playing, and then you break that up into 10 parts. And you don't mention role play in the 10th section until you get to the 10th video of the 10th section, and then you don't really say very much, or you find out the reveal is role playing is storytelling, according to RPG Elite. And
Yeah,
that's when you're like, screw you.
yeah, it was kind of disappointing to kind of see that, but I think once I saw that he had like these little scripts written out, I was like, I know what he's doing here. He's
Yeah.
storyboarding the whole thing. So,
Yeah,
and
that was unfortunate.
the players go off the path, what does he do? Beat them with a stick? No, it's
No, his players wait for him to prompt them. Okay, now you guys
Steer
are
them
heading
this way.
towards. Yeah, it's like, okay, so you guys are done camping now, and you're going to head north, and you can see the town up ahead, blah bitty blah, and they're just kind of like moseying along, not milling about, but just moseying along at, not hiking speed, but maybe not trotting speed, slow walk, not crawling speed, slow walk speed to the next thing, because they don't want to make him look bad, I guess, because he's trying to tell them a story.
right. So I guess that's what he would define a good player as one that follows the breadcrumbs.
Yeah,
basically.
I guess so, because he really wants to tell a story to his players.
So
That's what audiobooks are for. Just
there's
saying.
some good audiobooks out there.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch now.
So Discord says here, he says, well, actually, I like to stay somewhere in between. My players love great characters and compelling plots just as much as fun little gadgets and puzzling combat encounters.
Well, that's rather non-specific what he said.
I mean, sure, you could probably go ahead and take a base, say, okay, this is the world of Zelda, and you guys are the players of World of Zelda. And,
Does Zelda have good characters? Great ones?
great ones? I don't know. There's a lot of weird ones, I can tell you that. But would you actually want to role play in a game like Zelda? But I don't think that's what he's getting at here for the. I mean, he's just using some elements from it. The idea of using keys, using ways to get into the special room, which is next. But at that, you're just making, I don't know. It's
Well, would you role play in a Alice in Wonderland story?
I don't know. I mean, there's not really an
You have
appeal,
to take a pill or drink a bottle or do the thing to
right?
be in the trees or get through a small tiny door. Little puzzle things you have to do.
Is that
And then
what
the
you? What
Then
about you?
the
Would
queen
you-
wants your head cut off or something?
Would you play in a game like that?
No, to me that's a chick game. Remember those games like Myst,
Right. Yeah.
11th Hour,
Yeah.
the Journeyman Project, those kinds of games.
Zork Nemesis.
Some of the girls like those mystery games with the I don't know. It's like a step up from where in the world is Carmen Sandiego. You get to travel through Paris looking for clues. And it's a series of those things. Or if you're the dude, you play the one game where I guess you're in England and you're trying to find this sword. I can't remember the name of the game, but everyone played that like 20 years ago. And now it's back on Steam, so everyone's playing it again. But it's a mystery game. You're looking for clues. You go into houses and you search the furniture and the carpets and the pantries, and you're looking for all kinds of weird clues and things. Oh, a key under the carpet, or something was left on this desk next to the cigar box. Stuff like that. To solve some ancient mystery about who used to live in the house a long time ago and where their buried treasure might still be, because no one ever inherited the money, stuff like that. Girls love these games.
I know some movies kind of lean towards that kind of an aspect, where they kind of show clues along the way as they're panning through like the kitchen. They may show the knife or something like that, or stuff like that would come up later on.
Like National Treasure. You ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Something about the clues are on the currency. It's actually written in the currency somewhere. You just have to find the clues. I don't know. I guess that's one aspect of role playing is puzzles. Puzzling combat encounters. That would be Tomb Raider. You got a puzzle. The girl with the boobs and the buttocks. She's hopping, jumping, climbing, shooting. Hopping, jumping, climbing, shooting. Puzzles. And if she jumps wrong, she gets crushed by a block of stone. Or the bear gets her. Or the dinosaur eats her. Or the alligators get her. Kind of cool. But it's a hop, skip, jump puzzle with guns. Before Minecraft. I would say Zelda looks like Minecraft, but in 2D.
Well, it is. The last few ones have been quite 3D-ish. So
Yeah, that's true.
my kids
They got
play.
that. They got that Quake 2, Half-Life 1 kind of look to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about those.
So now, let's see. Discord replies to Sammykins. Of course, Sammykins once again said, role-playing isn't the only element. If role-playing was the only thing, there would be no reason for stats, skills, combat dice, rules dice. It would be acting out scenes with friends. And then down below, Discord says, exactly. To that, I would say, read a book. In a sense, okay, if we're going to go book ways,
Choose your own adventure.
it would be a book, but the pages aren't even written. So it's kind of like you pull this empty page and you say what you're doing, what your action is, what you're saying, or whatever, and it's being written as it goes along, and everybody starts partaking into this adventure that is being created on each page. You keep on going, flip through the page. By the end of the entire session, there you go. You have an experience that we've gone through all those pages, and that is your role play. That's your fun.
So you're talking about emergent storytelling.
You could, yeah, you have that. You also have maybe each page has like a footnote. Uh, the narrator or the god's voice that would describe what is in front of them. They would have a few notes saying, what this thing is, what it does, and then the players try to figure it out. Could be how to deactivate the self-destruct mechanism on their ship at that very second. Of course, you as the game master would know how it would work out, how you would do the thing in order to deactivate it, but the players don't. And maybe that's the thing. The players are trying to figure this out.
Well, I know some GMs love it when their players try to solve puzzles out of character.
Hmm.
And they're using their class character
Yeah.
as like a key to solving the mystery.
Right.
So the players are playing the players are playing the characters. The characters are just tools in the game to interact with the thing that needs to be solved. Some GMs love that.
Yeah.
I don't play Clue. Not into it. Clue with monsters. What's the point?
So, I mean, yeah, but once again, books are cool. I do like to listen to the audio books myself. I think it gives me a lot more, like hearing the voice and hearing the cadence of how they talk, especially in the old pulpy ones, the ones that really kind of pique your imagination, more like a radio show kind of a thing.
Yeah, the
Those
radio
ones-
shows, the characters hardly say anything except dialogue. So everything what's going on is through their dialogue. Like, hey, Chief, what's going on? Oh, we got a report. There's a burglary on such and such street. I'm on my way. So they're at the street now. And then they're
Yeah.
like, you hear sound effects of them opening their door, walking to a store, opening the store door. You hear the bell ringing on the door. They come in. And some guy says, may I help you? And that's the store owner. So I'm here about a robbery you had earlier today. Oh, yeah. The guy looked like such and such. Oh, that's interesting, They're just talking to each other, but they're revealing what happened.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. Kind of like role-play-ish.
The thing is, where the game master kind of intercedes in. He's the one who's making all the clip clop noises, and the doors opening and stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I kind of look at it. You can kind of gear your players to directions depending on what they say that they're doing, and continue on there. That's basically the game master's function. That's why I like the audiobook, because it gives you that kind of descriptive kind of narrative that is trying to be pushed across. Say in a Jack Vance novel, it would be letting you know what is happening, what he sees, all that stuff. And the descriptions that he gives are they're vague but descriptive enough in order to get your brain doing the thing to imagine what it is that you're seeing in front of
Well, do you like it in the books? Do you like it when the character's narrating or describing things for the reader, or do you like it when there's like a narrator in the book describing things?
It doesn't matter, but I find that the narrator in a book, if it's being described that way, helps me in my gaming. So it gives me kind of like some ideas of the cadence that I should be using in the game itself. Yeah.
Okay.
So I find that helps me a lot. And Guido Vera says here, you forgot the golden rule. I have my own version of Golden Rule. I have it on the bottom. Where did I reply to that? It's in there somewhere. I said, "Them who has the gold makes rules." Isn't that
Yeah,
the way it's supposed to be?
That might be down in the show more replies.
Yeah.
YouTube isn't good at ordering the comments.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible.
It's just a what do they call it?
All the way down. This is big, yeah.
It's a just-in-time server, so sometimes you see the comments and sometimes you don't, depending on how much lag there is on the internet.
All right, so we have a comment here from MK Classic. He says, "Yeah, people who think TTRPGs are a board game don't seem to understand there's a difference either. The freedom of a TTRPG provides making its own thing. These sorts of people are so boring to play with."
Does he have videos on his channel?
Let's find out.
MK.
No, none.
Of course not.
Zip.
These are the ones I say, troll, go make a video.
And next, he's replying to Discord this time. He's saying, "Dungeon crawling is not storytelling. I know how to actually GM. It's a skill you clearly lack, though." Oh, shots fired. Not only me. Anyone can run a dungeon crawl. A true GM doesn't need some contrived nonsense structure like a dungeon crawl to weave an epic adventure through. I can kind of agree with that.
I'll say, okay, storytelling, if it's proofread, written and all that beforehand, that's wrong. But you can have emergent storytelling come from dungeon crawling.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you definitely can. I mean,
at the end, you have an awesome story to tell if you survive.
yeah. I mean, I do sometimes like to go ahead and set up a dungeon, like a 5-6 room dungeon or something like that, a few corridors, and then just let the players decide on how they're going to go through each thing. And
or maybe they're in a dungeon that has hieroglyphic writings on the walls and they translate it and it's kind of an interesting read. Something happened in this dungeon a long time ago when it was a castle before the lava flow covered it over with a mountain. And the players get to learn who lived in this place and what happened to them. And at the end, there's a boss fight with their ghosts.
Sounds good.
So it's in context. You have a context for why you're fighting these guys, because the writing on the wall price said, "Do not go in the room. Do not go in this room, or you will be murdered." And they're like, whatever. Let's go in the room. And sure enough, the ghost's waiting for him. And the ghost says, another willing subject. And then fight. Something like that. So you have a little mini story in the story that you're making in the game.
There you go. So he now he replies, MK Classic. Seems to be interesting here now. Says to Sammykins, all of the stats and skills your character has are to facilitate role-playing. Your point is invalid. Also, he's not saying it's not a game. He's saying it's not a video game. It's true. It should be. I mean, there's some elements you can grab from video games, which be kind of cool. More or less like lore ideas. I mean, you could do totally a Skyrim kind of thing. Seriously.
I get comments every day on my videos. Shunner, TTRPGs are not movies. TTRPGs are not video games. Like, they don't even watch the whole video, because I explain in the video. But if most people that comment on my videos only watch the first 5 minutes, and then they just, hate post, nah. It's not worth trying to explain to them if they don't want to listen.
Yeah. So yeah, I kind of look at it in this point of view, kind of the same. You got to have, I mean, you have the stats and everything, but the way I kind of see it is like watching a movie. When you're watching a movie and you see, for instance, we are watching the one with Brad Pitt in it. He's playing Achilles, and
Troy?
yeah, Troy. Okay, you don't see stats written on the guy. You don't see a sheet of stats. You don't see all the skill lists.
Hit points?
You hit points, all that stuff. You are seeing it in action. So you're seeing his strength, his agility, his skill in battle, in action as he's fighting away and all this stuff. And I think having the stats kind of there in the background to kind of guide you into how good that guy is in fighting, how skilled he is in, acrobatics, that sort of stuff, how, dexterous he is, all that stuff, is cool, but most of the time when we're playing in our games, I believe most of the guys are kind of they just kind of push that aside, and they're more interested in what is happening in, the game at hand,
The
on the ship.
socio-economic stuff?
Not,
The political stuff?
I mean, I don't think
The
my players are really
personal relationships?
They're more interested in how they're going to get themselves out of this situation, or how they can take advantage of the situation in some sort of context.
Yeah. Here, check your chat. You got some decent people showing up in chat.
Oh, we do?
Yeah. No crazies yet.
Crazies. Let's see. Oh, yeah. We got some what's this? Salty corn. That's about it.
I might have some in a bag. Some killer corn, at least.
He's okay. Yeah, how dungeons are done right are terrifying. That is true. I mean, instead of showing them a picture of a map and their little tokens going through, you describe,
paper.
the hole of darkness that they see before them that descends down a yearning pit of hell. You can hear the howl of some sort of, screams and the echoing in the background in the darkness.
That's how I make my Skyrim, nice and dark in the caves.
There you go.
Unless there's a hole in the top and light comes in, the place is pitch black, pretty much. You have to have a torch to see 2 feet in front of you.
And I think, in describing it that way, instead of like showing a picture, you get so much more happening upstairs in your noggin, than you would ever looking at that picture of a trail cave going across the screen.
Yeah. And take that same dungeon and then add some Cthulhu to it. So now you're in character delving into a dungeon, and you know that if you see something, it's going to make you even more mad. Or if you read something, it might open up a astral portal to another universe, and then you're in for it. You're trying to comprehend what you're even doing, looking at things man was not meant to see, kind of a thing. So you got that on top of your role playing going on. Just a whole other level.
That's the thing is nobody's doing this except for just
the Gentleman Gamer. He's the only one. And then there was Andrew Gloy, who deleted his videos. We did the most excellent Downton Abbey Cthulhu. It was amazing. One of the best roleplay sessions I was ever in. And he deleted the video because we killed a dog in that video. I was like, come on, the dog was possessed. It was a cool death scene for the dog, too. I had that video on my channel. I downloaded it and then re-uploaded it to my channel. He says, can you get that off because we killed that dog, remember? I'm like, oh. So I deleted it.
Damn.
I should have kept it. I didn't have an video editor back then. I would have just chopped out that scene where the dog died. It was the Labrador from the TV show. I don't know if you ever watched Downton Abbey.
No, I haven't.
But it was at the time when the show was like #1 hit. PBS stuff. Masterpiece Theater. And
C4 Crispy in the group. Yeah. For role-playing games, for sure. Yeah. But as you know, and as Shauner knows, I also used to play Snapshot, which was based off of Traveler, which is kind of a skirmish game. It was a skirmish game before skirmish games ever really started coming out.
I had that one, and then I upgraded to Ajanti High Lightning.
Yep.
And then I'm like, okay, I'm sick of action points. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it.
It was action points, and it was charts. Tons and tons of charts.
Yes.
And that... I say, you know, this the new way that they do when Traveler became a role-playing game, they got rid of all the action points. They ended up, you know, making it so you just needed an 8 and higher, so you didn't have to have these vast charts of, you know, cross-referencing weapons and types and ranges and all that stuff. It just made it so much easier. And which was cool. And then I started to get into actually, you know, role playing with Ted at that time, and then
I like that you could put your Traveler character in the board game.
Yeah, you know, it's a cool idea, you know, and yeah, I still play skirmish games, so that's why I'm still 28 millimeter. And I do my RPGs, so because I like 28 millimeter miniatures. Quite a collection of them. So we have Mobius.
I was doing minis wrong. When I used minis, I was doing it wrong.
Was what were you doing wrong?
I was using the small GI Joes.
Oh.
And I was using Connects.
Did
oh
you
no,
use
not Connects. I was using Constructs. I was using Constructs to make the sets, and then I had the little GI Joes.
There was Micronauts. You didn't use Micronauts?
No.
Oh. My buddy Dean. Me and Dean were the same age. We were like 14, 15 at this time, and his little brothers were like playing Micronauts. They would like set up all their Micronauts all over the place, and they would be like rolling dice and, you know, blowing their heads off and missing limbs and stuff like that. They were real taken by you know, role-playing games at the time, by, you know, making their own kind of rules and stuff. It was quite cool. You just did GI Joes, eh?
Yeah, just GI Joes. on a folding table that you play bridge on. It worked. It did the job.
Yeah. So back to here. Thanks guys for popping in on the live stream. It's cool.
One of the GI Joes looked like Tony Stark, so I used him mostly.
that was your guy.
That was my character.
Yeah, I had
the actual Iron Man character was lame because only his shoulders and hips moved. No knees, no elbows, no wrists. You know, I think his head turned. So the actual Iron Man character was kind of lame. Same size as the GI Joe, but the GI Joes had more articulation.
So KM Clashmic again. Let's see. Oh, Samikins replies to MK Clashmic here. He says he put roleplay in capitals as if that's the only thing relevant to TTRPGs. I'm saying there's more to it than roleplay. I put it in capitals because I wanted to kind of make a point that there isn't any role playing happening in a role playing game.
Hello,
That's
there's
that's
no
what
role play.
it's kind of important.
But people don't like it when you say you guys are crap role players. I try not to say that now. I just say you guys are crap D&D players. Because roleplay is absent. So how can you criticize someone for doing something wrong and they're not even attempting to come close to doing it at all? So how can you say they're crap role players when they're not even role players? They're not even playing the game. They're just putzing around. One thing I would love to see, in my lifetime, I would love to see a YouTube video where GURPS is being role played. I would love to see that. It's impossible to role play in GURPS because it's a role play removed system.
Yeah, I was gonna say it'd be very hard to find.
But everyone says, "Oh, I play GURPS. That's my go-to role-playing system." Oh,
Do you think that's what they did with Dungeons and Dragons? Is they GURPSified it basically?
Nope. Nah, GURPS is still crunchy compared to D&D.
Yeah, but still, if you were to compare like the old, first edition, and seeing how really actually basic that was, and then compare it to today, where you have like all these different kinds of interlinking, skills in the where they spread out to, kind of almost like in little trees of going this way and that way, and it's. I think they roughly kind of GURPSified it, where you can't really, effectively role play anymore, because you have a role for pretty much, picking your nose or whatever, and it's and that's the sad thing.
I ended at diseases, fatigue, encumbrance, and diseases. I end things there. We don't need any more rules beyond that. But GURPS, fourth edition, it wants more stuff. Are you climbing in a vacuum? Are you climbing in a atmosphere that's 100 atmospheres? Are you climbing with 4 times Earth's gravity? Are you climbing with wind blowing on you? Are you climbing with heavy gear on your back? Are you climbing wearing gloves? Are you climbing with mountain boots? That's too much. Too much. I don't even need a climbing skill. Just have some sort of a strength check, some sort of maybe an agility check, something, dexterity maybe. Maybe you're just an expert on geology. That's good enough to climb a cliff. Who knows?
So like RPG Grandma says here, people aren't describing or interacting right. They're right, just mechanically doing stuff.
Yes. That's 100% true.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's why a lot of games are going the way they are. It just ain't happening.
The guy who says, "I'm going to go around the back of the tavern. Maybe sneak in." And the GM's like, "Okay." And then the other players go in the normal way, and they're chit-chatting with the barmaids and barkeeps and stuff. But the guy who went around the back never says if they'd come into the tavern or not. And they're having a conversation with all the other characters, but they're standing outside creeping underneath the windowsill. How are they having a conversation with all the other characters inside the tavern?
I have a feeling I've I've seen this or heard this before.
It's a common thing. Every month I see a live play that someone's doing that nonsense, and the players metagaming. They're hearing what the players are saying, so they forget that their character doesn't hear that. They're outside. Who knows? There's probably a bunch of tumbleweeds rolling up against them because it's probably windy outside. Why are they even outside? And they stay outside for half an hour. Like, what are they doing out there? I guess my token is next to the other guy's tokens, so I guess that's good enough. I can still role play with him, right? None of these players ever say, "Well, I give up trying to sneak in through the back, so I just walk around and come in through the front." No one ever says that.
Here we go. Okay, so yeah, no one here is calling it a board game. But that's what they're doing. It's all board gaming, anyways.
So it went from TTPRGs are all the things, and then someone says it's not role playing, and it's because role play is acting, and it's not board gaming.
Well, they're bringing up stuff that I said on here. So
like everyone's disagreeing with each other.
So
but they're
so
still
just,
on the same page, if that's possible.
For you guys that just popped in here, this is my original comment here, and this is from a thing from Bob the World Builder. So I just said for his thing here, designing Zelda dungeons for TTRPGs is easier than you
And this
think.
is just on his community tab. It's not even like a video comment thing.
Yeah. And I said, just play Zelda. Learn how to actually role play. All of these.
Maybe I should post in my community tab. And get more stress points that way.
Is that what you call them? Stress points?
Stress points, yeah. Comments are stress points. Well, it gets your channel activity. YouTube's like, hey, that channel looks busy.
But yeah, I just mentioned quit board gaming and stop trying to make a video game. Just role play. And I put a note here that I know Bob doesn't role play. He doesn't.
He doesn't. Not even close.
Yeah. But you would think that would be important in role playing game.
He role plays. Okay. If you say Gary Gygax was a role player, then yeah, Bob the Builder role plays.
I think I mentioned this down below here, so because somebody asked me.
Who was the other guy? Who was Gary Gygax's arch rival or competitor or partner in crime?
Dave Arneson.
Okay, that guy. I've seen him role play. He can frickin' role play. He had 20 people at a table, and he was like keeping tabs on everything. He was just making up theater of the mind crap. Just no board, no minis, telling characters.
Did you watch the Secrets of Blackmore?
No.
No.
I'll probably buy the DVD if they ever sell it.
It's interesting because they get into how that started to happen, how that got created. Because because when they had their groups, and they were interacting, sometimes Arneson wouldn't be there while this interaction is going on. And then there was a couple of guys that were like, well, we want to settle this with a duel. How do we do this? And that's kind of how that role play started to start clicking for them. And it was an interesting series of events that they were like, that was really cool. How can we recreate it again? And they went back and they were trying different things to try and force it. But it wasn't. They didn't quite understand how it just was occurring. But eventually, he kind of cracked the code, and he was doing the role play thing.
Okay.
It was it was a pretty interesting.
Maybe he was the first role player on Earth.
Well, I would say it was probably from his from particular players that were in his group. Because they were talking mostly about like 3 or 4 different guys that were specific within the group that were kind of
Yeah, it's just
more onto that.
it's exactly like the groups are now. You got certain kinds of players, and they've always existed,
Yeah,
always.
yeah.
Just there's just larger numbers of them now. There's conventions for them now. Instead of just a shared hall from a university they didn't have universities back then. Colleges would have like the some sort of room. Oh, what were those rooms called? Lecture halls, and they'd fill them with folding tables. Players would go in there, do their thing every third Thursday of the month, kind of thing. Then conventions started, and that was the end of roleplay, because conventions are about making money, selling to the lowest common denominator, which is the current customer of D&D.
And they want to sell you minis, they want to sell you
Yeah.
maps, they want to sell you all that
Yeah.
stuff. So
Yeah.
get that mind stuff out of the way.
Yep.
We're selling miniatures.
In the old days, guys would make their own vacuum mold stormtrooper helmets and suits and stuff. Now you just go on Party City and just buy an outfit.
So MK Clashmix says to Sammykins, yes, but his actual argument was quit board gaming and stop trying to make it a video game. You can't assume their position is based on the capitalization of one word based on their argument as a whole. Yeah.
Sometimes I capitalize stuff.
And then he says, you are bad at reading comprehension. I lump people who treat it like a board game in with the people he was commenting about. I didn't say anyone here was called it a board game.
Now you got, some of these people, English is not their first language, so that's going to happen.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own life history, their own backstories, so that's going to happen.
David Jennings here says, when you say Bob doesn't roleplay, is that based on anything? Maybe I missed it?
It's based
on I don't remember him saying that.
Videotaped evidence.
Does
Dave Jennings have videos on his or her channel?
He has an actual name, so let's see.
It's a pretty generic name.
No.
To say I bet you he started his channel in 2009. Go to the About tab. Some of these jokers have been on YouTube since the beginning, and they have no videos. It's sad.
2021 January.
Oh, this is a youngin. Okay, he's one of the COVID types. I showed up during COVID. I had nothing to do.
So, and yeah, I answered that. Yeah, he does have some videos up where he is in a game. That's all I'll say. He's in a game. So the phony here. Oh, the phony has a little icon. He says, "Want to learn to make a movie? Just watch Shawshank Redemption." Why do I find it so hard to say that?
I don't know. Shawshank Redemption. That's easy for me.
Shawshank.
Probably I've seen the movie a bunch of times, so maybe that's why.
You gotta sound like you're from Brooklyn.
Watching that movie is not going to teach you how to make a movie.
It give you some good ideas. Some cool
Maybe
things.
how to hold the camera for certain scenes. Maybe I don't know. Lighting, costume design. I don't know. But editing, it's not going to teach editing. Editing is hard. Ask George Lucas's ex-wife. She had to make a movie out of his nonsense called Star Wars.
Oh, really? She did the editing.
Yeah, she won an Oscar for it, I think.
Oh,
Without her, that movie would have sucked.
she did a pretty good job. I must say.
She made a story from just combat scenes. She actually made a story.
She would make a great game master.
Yeah. Yep.
Alrighty, so I replied to David Jennings here. I say, I've seen him in a live play, and correct, he does not role play. He attends, he jokes a bit, he rolls dice, but I have yet to see him role play. And then I replied to Discord, who was talking about his first comment there. I replied to that saying, play baseball with a football, as long as it's fun. I said, I don't play for fun. I play for a cool experience that no other media provides.
That's true.
So with the way I kind of see role play, it's not like a movie, although you can kind of get it kind of vaguely close, but not quite. But that's cool, you know. It's a little bit more, I find it a little bit more longer in scenes than a movie. And radio, yeah, we already went through that. Radio is cool in its own right. There's different ways that you can possibly do the narration, you know, by making sound effects and all that stuff. But once again, each kind of thing has its own kind of flavor. Role playing is its own kind of thing. We also got
Well, it's
more
all about
replies.
nomenclature. Because when you say role play to somebody, they assume you're talking about what the 99% of players do when they say they role play. And then when they hear you saying something else, like, no, I mean real role play, then they go, oh, stage acting, voice acting, scripts. You guys are playing a script. It's like, how do they go from their crap style of playing to professional acting? There's a step in there that there's a few steps in there that they're just jumping over.
Yeah, I mean, you know me. I do voices. I do kind of like I kind of take the personality and put it in a voice. I mean, I'm not trying to act, but I'm just trying to be the character in a certain kind of flavor. Jack is going to sound like Jack.
Yeah, I'll do mannerisms sometimes.
It's okay if it's okay if you just do mannerisms. I mean, I've heard you do the occasional voice there, Sean.
Yeah, once in a blue moon.
Some more comments down below here. Realism versus mechanics versus smooth storytelling has been a constant battle. Just because it has a chart or a rule doesn't mean you have to use it, which is true. I don't use hardly. I would say I use maybe a third, maybe if it's lucky, of Traveler kind of rules. Mainly,
I'll use just enough rules to not interfere with the game speed.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing too. I don't just say, okay, everybody roll initiative whenever it's the thing is happening. I just go with whoever's talking first, and depending on what the situation is, if they're all like, okay, let's get it, bam, 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 that's they're going to be shooting first, obviously.
Yeah. Usually the good role players will know when it's their turn because they all understand what their situations are. Maybe a character's got gut shot. They're gonna die soon. They're just they're just trying to keep it together. They're not in the mood to go up and out, running out the door, guns blazing with gut shot. That just doesn't happen.
This is also a thing that I've been battling myself. How much to put in, the balance. So this is where I'm trying to figure out my own kind of thing.
What kind of balance?
The balance between, and we've discussed this before. The balance of how you end up moving your players along in the story, how much you should be doing that. Balance between me taking the narrative and the players, influencing the narrative.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of things.
Remind your players that characters should always be moving. Don't be stationary, because in a movie, How often do you see a character sitting in the same chair through the whole movie? Unless they're paralyzed,
Yeah.
they're in a wheelchair, they're bedridden. Characters are always moving. Even in Alien, a confined space like the Nostromo, the characters are always moving around as they're doing their dialogue, chasing someone down a hallway.
Now I
Going-
do.
They're not just standing in the same spot for 20 minutes long.
I do narrate that as they are walking, this is occurring, and they're like talking over the comm to each other and blah blah blah. So I do kind of interfere in that sort of way, or influence it in that sort of a way. I would
Or
suspect.
break someone's radio, so they have to like get up off their ass and head over to where everyone else is and say, "We are all going to die." None of you guys are responding to me. What's going on? Oh, my mic is broke. Okay. I thought you guys heard me. I'm trying to tell you, we're all gonna die. That kind of thing. And get people in confined spaces so they can talk to each other, and get some practice. My character's grabbing another beer from the fridge. He pops it, leans against one of the counters, and he's chug-a-lugging, and then he says such and such. That's his turn. And another character says, "I'm still dizzy from that last hyper jump we did. Something. I'm looking for pills. I'm going through drawers looking for pills for my headache." That's his turn. And then some girl's like, she's fussing about something about no one's been checking their emails. We've got like 500 years worth of emails to get caught up on, something like that. That's what she's raving at in the general area about under her breath. That was her turn. Stuff like that. And then she says, I'm gonna go check the engine cargo area for something, but she just kind of mumbles the end of her sentence, blah, 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 and you don't hear what the rest of what that character even says. So that's a way for other characters to follow behind her and say, "What are you doing? What's going on?" So that instead of having everyone have a headset and radio, or whatever, or always conveniently next to an intercom switch, the players have to get up if they want to be in the conversation. They can't be metagaming, eavesdropping with their radio headset to know what's going on the bridge.
That will actually be coming up on the next session, my upcoming session, because the farther away they're getting from the ship, that link doesn't work anymore. So.
Yeah, this comment from Grandma, pretty decent, huge range, I would say.
Yeah.
Pick a range, pick a spot.
War game to immersive. So
I mean, some people get immersed looking at chits on a warboard.
I'm one of those guys that likes the good old strategy game like that.
I got immersed when I played Army back when I was like 8 or 9. I had the Japanese, the Chinese, or the Japanese, the Germans, and the Americans. I had those Army sets. Using marbles to throw at the guy to knock him over from the mortar shells, or the howitzers and stuff. Planes bombing. I would be rooting in my mind. I'd be rooting for one guy who's still standing. He's like in the ruins. He's the Russian guy who's shooting at, or he's the East German. I don't know what he is. He's like the Russian guy, I guess. He's shooting at anyone who's retreating from Berlin. What was that movie? Something at the Gate. Ed Harris. Anyway.
Lions at the Gate?
Maybe. He was one of those snipers that would take out guys that were retreating from Germans. Making sure they did their duty.
Keep it.
But yeah, you would pick a veteran player that's doing really good and you're like rooting for him. Same with the strategy, real-time strategy game on the computer. You're rooting for that one unit who's leveling up.
Right. I mean, I used to do that with, what was it called? XCOM.
Yeah,
That was
you can
one.
get immersed into that stuff. You get
So,
way more immersed if you're in first-person mode with some of those things. Third person's kind of tougher to get immersed.
Cherry says, "I never do voices."
The faux English.
The
I
faux
see.
English.
Or the faux Scottish accents. You know.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello, hello. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke. Hello, hello, hello. What was that? Mary Poppins?
Mary Poppins. Yeah, now I got the old bamboo going through my head again.
Or the
Make it stop.
what's the one with the Rex Harris? What Harrison? What's that one? My Fair Lady. Ow, e. You know, she's talk. She can't pronounce her H's,
Right. Okay.
so she can't blow out the candle at all with her H's.
Everybody's talking about their voices. I don't know if I'm good at voices or terrible.
So what you? Okay, what would be the longest you would let a scene drag on for, Rick? Before you say to the players, "Are you done role playing? Can I move your players to another room now?"
No, if they're role playing, I usually just stay out of it until they seem to be done.
Okay.
I let them to figure out. I did that with my last session. I just kind of just sat back and let them do their thing. And then when they decided that they were going to continue on and head up the ridge or whatever, that's when I kind of interceded as the narrator, describing how it goes as they reach up towards the edge of the crater. See the glowing lights from some sort of thing beyond the escarpment, and then they finally see it and they realize, oh, this thing might not be military at all. Where they were just going to go ahead and blow it up. And then they have a big debate kind of between them. What should we do here? And they're like back and forth, which I thought was really cool. And then they decide, okay, send our guy, the bounty hunter, up ahead. Josh, the bounty hunter. Josh did so much actual, interaction and playing in that one. I was really impressed with him because he's usually the guy who's kind of, back in the background.
Yeah,
right?
he's usually like down, or he's like way in the back. His background sort of eats up at his face because he's in the dark.
But he was having fun there. He was getting into it. He was like thinking about how he was going to approach this unit that was kind of mining the ground on this moon. And,
yeah, I remember. Yeah, that was cool. He found his little light. What do they call that? His
spotlight on him.
The spotlight. That's what it's called.
Yeah, so that was super cool that he was doing.
That was cool.
He's very reserved, quiet kind of a guy, and that was cool that he. Enemy at the gate.
Yeah, enemy at the gate. That's the one.
And if things do go too long, I have these, and I would just want to go ahead and just throw something down. I'll have a card. In fact, the Fari app has these cards which you can go ahead and click on, and they give you great prompts, great ideas. Like suddenly this happens.
That's how I used to do it. I used to do this suddenly.
Yeah, I got that from playing Cypher, the Numenera, because their cards are geared that way. So you can basically play a Numenera game without any kind of much planning, except for you guys start here. And then you can start dropping cards, which give you like great prompts and ideas that just fill your brain full of all kinds of goodness. And you're like, and then this happens, and you're describing what's occurring. because a lot of the prompts will give you colors,
Yeah.
different things, themes, what's happening with the weather at the time, or something like that, and which things that you just don't think about, but hey, this can occur and would be so cool to happen right now, and yeah, that really got me into you know getting more what's the name for it, improvising, you know.
Remember
Or
the Twilight Zone with the kid, Billy Mooney? He's that psychic kid who makes everyone go into the cornfield.
right, okay.
Okay, there's the lady. She says, I guess it's the mom. She looks outside. There's a some scene going on in the house, and then the mom looks outside and she says, "It's snowing." So that's a way to change the subject real quick. And then the dad's like, "Son, are you making it snow outside?" And he's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "It's real good that you're making it snow." Or he says something like, "That'll kill all the crops." Then he's like, "Oh, but it's good that you're making it snow out there. It's real good." So I do that kind of stuff. I change the weather. They're on a ship, a derelict ship, whatever, and meteor showers coming, or thunderstorm, or they're building a habitat and they're not finished and the sandstorm's coming. Stuff like that, just to interrupt things. Because I used to say fade to black, fade to black, fade to next day, or next day starts. Because I forget to do what time it is. I forget to say if it's morning or noon or night. I forget to say those things.
That's
Because I
yeah.
I do one shots, so they usually take place in one day. But I want to start doing like multiple days where it's like the next morning, the characters wake up and they go outside to see if the robot they programmed worked or not in the yard.
Johnner, do you know what this is? This is literally like a flanderized storm wind fallacy. Do you know what that's all about?
Oakley dokley. I don't know. The only Flander I know is from Simpsons, I guess.
So this guy
Is
says,
it a word? Is that a word? Are we learning?
he says, well, I'm learning something here too. So he says, the Mac Chop below here says, I had to look up stormwind fallacy up and have to say that it was one of the most well put discussions on the topic I've read. I've seen those exact attitudes in real groups, and it is addressed both sides of the extreme so eloquently.
Is this something to do about nothing?
I
Much
don't
to
know.
do about nothing? Is this someone just flailing in the wind?
Let me go ahead and grab it, find out what's going on here.
Or straw man arguments? I've heard them all.
Possibly. Let's find out. Let's go paste and find. What is the stormwind fallacy? Okay.
Talking about hypotheticals?
So the stormwind fallacy. Let's see.
2D
Answer.
versus 3D think? Because you got Flatlanders. Got to worry about that.
Yeah. In the context of another question here, the stormwind fallacy is brought up. What exactly is a stormwind fallacy, and how is it connected to optimization? Okay, so this is an important part of D&D Dungeons and Dragons 3.5 and the extension Pathfinder. Okay, and
Mikey Cook read this or wrote this or something?
No idea. The fallacy, in short, is the optimizing prevents role playing, or that role playing prevents optimization.
Why is it called Stormwind Fallacy?
It is called the Stormwind fallacy after Tempest Stormwind, the Wizards of the Coast forum poster, who first
Oh,
who first wrote it, the
that's your
thread.
first problem. Wizards of the Coast forums. What a
So
waste of time.
okay, so what they're saying is okay, so that optimizing prevents role playing, and that role playing prevents optimization. What do you think? I know what you think.
You're min-maxing your build. You want to win the game. You don't have time for this role play nonsense. You just want to kill the things and get your XP.
Right. If you're playing a game, if you're playing a game to just win.
Yeah, the other side is the GM's girlfriend who's there to socialize with the other characters in the game. And it's like, I have to roll? What do you mean I gotta roll? Oh man, you're breaking my immersion, that kind of thing. I'm guessing.
I would say the only thing good about three.
My answer is though. My answer is you can't role play in D&D. Problem solved. Dun da da da.
I would say definitely from 3 onwards. Yeah, you could probably. I would role play in the second edition stuff.
Well,
That's easy.
no edition of D&D goes beyond first gen adventure gaming. It just tacks on to more rules. GURPS is the same way. Basic roleplay, Chaosium's thing, same thing. It's just rules tacked onto rules, tacked onto rules. Then you got the hero system. Any generic core rulebook that's more than 600 pages got some issues there. There's not going to be much roleplay in that game of yours. If you play by the book, rules as written.
Yeah. Well, the rules got so thick from 3 onwards.
You can roleplay. It says you can roleplay. Your role is a class character, and these are your stats.
Yeah.
That is the extent of roleplay in the game. Is your role as a class character.
Your fighter would never be expected to go ahead and try to disable a trap.
Yeah, you're playing a role of a class. So I am a 5th level fighter with a +1 sword.
Yeah.
And I have these feats according to my character sheet.
I did like that back in the day they gave all those levels a different kind of name. So you would be like an acolyte or an adept or a priest, and then your title would go further and further up, sounding more and more lofty as you increase in level, which was kind of a nice little touch. But once again, you're kind of just basically playing a class.
But you want to use a game system that's at least 2nd gen. I prefer 2nd gen because it's less rules and it's less abstract. Because the higher you go up, the more abstract the rules become, and you're twisting your mind in half, trying to figure out what the rules even saying you're supposed to do to play the game because it's so abstract. And it's like, okay, that's too much. That's too much abstraction. Just give me a skill-based system with a simple unified mechanic for die rolling. I'll be on my way doing my role play. Don't disturb me unless it's important, kind of thing. Because you want a game mechanic that doesn't halt the game when you're using the game mechanic, and you want a game system that doesn't break the role play immersion, as in you want some predictability in the game. You don't want just some D20 randomizing everything. Every time it's your turn, you randomize everything. Like, what? I wake up in the morning, I'm going to do my daily routine, but yet I've got this D20 I'm dealing with, which is just, white noise on the TV screen.
Yeah.
How do you make a picture from that? You can't.
Yeah.
There's no bell curve.
So yeah, bell curve is the thing that's kind of important to explain to people that don't know about the.
You want a range of success and a range of failure. You don't want just random.
In a bell curve, you're going to be basically getting, kind of like this sort of thing. You can predict that it's very likely you're going to get, this kind of a result up here, because on the sides it's less of a chance of happening. But with a D20, it's basically straight across. It is a percentage, but it's a totally wild percentage. So you're not going to get any kind of, predictability that you would in a 2D6 game like Traveler, because it's pretty. You're gonna basically be rolling a 6, 7, or an 8.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Most of the time. But
now, some people would argue when your bell curve is too much, like in GURPS, you end up playing a mediocre game because your skill rolls are constantly mediocre because of the 3 to 18 range. So you're rolling a lot of 10s and 11s.
And the influence...
hardly any 4s and 17s kind of a thing.
Influence of that of the +1 in the 2D6 system is huge, where a +1 in a D20 is nothing.
Nothing.
It doesn't really do much.
Yeah.
Which makes, because when you're thinking about, the character's strength and all that stuff in a D&D kind of context, the most you're going to get roughly would be, I don't know, if you're beginning as a player, like a +3, +4 maybe. If you're lucky, you got an 18 for strength, 00, rolling the percentage afterwards. You remember that?
Once in a while I get a comment on a Traveler video saying, "Oh, Traveler's broke because the players are always going to roll higher than 8." Well, if the difficulty's always average, then I suppose if the players have battle dress, they've got the weapons, they have the scopes on the weapons, they have the auto fire rinse repeat on the weapon, they've got the cybernetic arm holding the weapon, all these little pluses. Yeah, I guess they'll always make their mark when they're shooting a weapon. In my games, weapons wear out, run out of bullets. You're being shot at also. It's not like you're the only person with a gun. Now in Fallout 1, I think there's target numbers in that one too that you're trying to roll equal or above using your special. Because originally Fallout 1 was going to be a GURPS system, and then Steve Jackson said, "Nope, I withdraw my license." And the guy at Interplay had 3 days to rewrite the game system to something else, so he came up with that special.
Special, yeah.
So what is special? It's like 0 to 5 for each attribute or something like that?
I thought it was 10.
Or can you go up to 10?
You can go up to 10.
You just leave everything else on 0? I can't remember. But you would add that to the die roll. And the die roll would get like, I don't know, say a 13 or higher. Was like critical success. Maybe an 11 was regular success, something like that.
Yeah. So I remember it used to have the actual rolls being performed on the interface.
Oh yeah.
And you would actually.
I should load that game up and take a look at it again.
Yeah.
Because Bethesda went the other way around later on. They tried the D&D mechanics with I think Arena and Daggerfall. That was irritating as hell. Swinging your sword, sometimes you'd hit, sometimes not. It was using the to-hit roll nonsense. But since then they switched over to... I think they did that also in Morrowind. But eventually they settled with the D100. So you're rolling under your skill plus modifiers.
This comment here, it's because you can role play a min character or a max player. It's what you do about nothing. That's the thing is when you're min maxing or whatever it is that you're doing, you're just making a character to win. Is the basic concept behind that. So if you come into a game in order a role playing session to win, um it's you're kind of missing the point of what the role play is all about, because it doesn't matter, if you make it through, like if you're basically in a one shot that you don't know who's going to live or die or whatever, but you go through the experience of it and you thought you had a completely enjoyable game, just playing the bartender who has no skills except for making drinks. But you got to go ahead and smash some glass over across some guy's head because you're really good at doing the spinny thing with the bottles. Well, that's the coolest thing ever, you know. As part of the game, you contributed in some way to the scene in order to make it really interesting and
Well, I think Mobius is just saying in general a min max.
Yeah,
a min max character, but
yeah.
like in Traveler. Sometimes you roll a bunch of 2s for your character. Sometimes you roll a bunch of 15s for your character. Who knows?
I'm
Or a
just
bunch of
saying,
12s.
yeah, in the context of what we were thinking at the time,
Yeah.
it was the idea that people are, making these incredibly, tank kind of characters.
When a player says I made a build,
Yeah.
that's a red flag right there. If the first thing out of their mouth is I'm going to roleplay a Traveler character, I was like, yeah, I want to see this. When they say roleplay first and then they start describing their character, I'm in. I want to hear about it. But if they said I built this character for my Traveler game session, like they're not going to roleplay that thing. But yeah, I can roleplay a low rolled character. I can roleplay a high rolled character. To me, it's a challenge. Give me a pre-gen. I'll roleplay that character. I don't care. I don't care what the social skills are or the strength is of the character. I'm not trying to win the game. It'd be interesting to role. It's an interesting character to roleplay. I don't want to be Superman every time I play Traveler. Or what's the other one? Nexus 6. Nexus 6 is when you just roll a d6 and then add 6 to it. So your character will never have anything below a 7.
Was that part of somebody's idea or is that something that you came up with?
I guess I don't know. It's probably a homebrew thing from 40 years ago.
Yeah, the bell curve. I mean, if I was to go ahead and make a brand new role playing game, and I've told Chandra this before.
A brand new one?
Brand new
What
one.
are those? D10s or D8s? Those are D10s.
D10s. Your favorite
Well,
D10s.
How many you got? Oh, that's not even open. So that's 10? Or how many is in there?
Brand new package.
That's more than 10.
So the
Ooh. Violation right there.
oh. So if I was to go ahead and do do my own kind of role playing game, make it like from scratch, it would be a 2d10 system, same as kind of like Traveler. Roll the 2 dice, add them together. Your average would be 10, 11, and use the bell curve that way. Exactly. That's how I would use the bell curve.
Yeah, SPI's universe does it that way with 2d10s.
And let's see.
What? Hit refresh and see if there's more comments.
Oh, I'm sure there are. There's probably people are coming off of they're coming off of school, Shawner, and they're reading, finding out what's happening here. Okay. Oh, I got a no thanks. Okay. Well, what does Guido do?
Does he have any videos?
Just checking. Yeah, he's got anime videos.
Well, that's something.
Anime Hunter X, and he speaks Spanish.
Okay.
Spanish, I think. Spanish. Where is he at? Nope. I can't tell. I can't read that stuff. I know a little bit of Ukraine, and that's about it. Some German.
I know English and bad English.
English from the South. All right, let's continue on here. It looks like they've finished hitting me up here on this thread, but we'll go on through the rest of them here. Okay, so I answered that. I said, yeah, he just jokes. Bob the world builder there. That's all he does. Show more.
Because you said you just watch his videos, you'll see he doesn't roleplay. But then they don't know what you're talking about still.
Yeah, exactly.
A role player shows up and rolls dice.
He's
what a
role
role player
playing.
does. What are you talking about, Driscoll? They're all having fun. They're role playing. They're obviously role playing.
Mac Chop here says, honestly, you make the most sense to me out of this whole comment section. He's talking to Sammykins. Balance is key. Focus too much in one aspect. TTRPG, and somebody risks not seeing the forest in the trees.
Well, you want all your players on the same page. You don't want
Yeah.
one player who's a role player with a bunch of board gamers.
And I think when he's thinking role playing, he's thinking the two-dimensional role playing.
Yeah. Yep. Tell me a story. Take me on a Disneyland ride. I want to wish. I want to play Make-A-Wish. Can my character do... I want my character to climb. I want my character to fly the dragon. That's my wish.
So Guido Vera, once again, I answered him. I said he was the one who was asking me about the golden rule. I said, them who's got the gold makes the rules. I gave him a little winky eye. I said I was going to do a video tonight about this thread. I thought it'd be interesting, so that's what I did. He said, no thanks.
How do you I still need to remember. I had a what they call one of those fever dreams a couple nights ago. I dreamed a game session that I had back in the day. This is back in the late 90s. I had a game session where me and a couple of the other players at the table had light bulbs go off. Boom, and we instantly went from 2D to 3D. And I can't remember now what the game session was about, what was going on, if it was real or if I dreamed it. When I dream stuff, I usually remember old games that I can't remember now because they're so what do they call it, trivial games.
Right.
But certain times I'll have a dream or something, recollection, some moment where it dawns on me, hey, this is not how you do the thing. This is not how we should be doing this. The aliens that have us at these tables are making us play the game their way. But I know this is not how it's really done outside of their little bubbles. And people are like, what are you talking about? We've been doing it this way forever. This is how it's always going to be played. No, we're doing it wrong. These aren't not meant to be played this way. Anyway, one of those kind of dreams. One day, I'll probably remember what it was. Because I want to make a video on how to change someone from a 2D player to a 3D player. And it can happen during a game session. It's the only way they're going to see the light. The role play light. They don't have to become actors or voice actors or write scripts or nothing. But once it had something to do with Abe's games. sometimes I sleep listening to actual role play sessions, and some of what's said from the TV set goes into my brain. So I'm sure it could have been one of Abe's videos. Hoi! I'm going to tell you about. He
We'll
is
do role play.
consistent. Every single video of his starts that way. So I just have to get in the mindset to try to remember what it is that gets players to see from 2D to 3D. What I do, for the last 8 years, I vet players. I find people that never played role playing to begin with. So I start with a 3D player right away. Easy peasy. It's these D&D players that want to be in my games, and I'm like, nope. And like, why not? It's just another tabletop RPG. You're in the RPG community, aren't you? You say you're a role player, don't you? And then they just don't get it. They watch my videos and they don't get it. It just goes woof.
Yeah, it's a lot of, from what I'm dealing with my group of players, trying to keep them in kind of check. It's been a learning process for me to kind of figure out ways to promote it a little bit more with the group. But I'm learning as it goes along how to overcome it and get them going. I think I've had some wins with the guys, there's been a couple of setbacks, of course, because we didn't play for a bit. It's bound to happen. Set back into their ways, and then once they got into it again, they started playing it. Started to play in their character, doing the things, which was getting to be cool again. And,
Yeah.
But Big Bad was asking what the comments were all about. Yeah, it's just a video that Bob World Builder was putting up about how to take something like the world of Zelda and get some pointers out of it to make your game. Using stuff like traps that you find in Legend of Zelda and finding keys, that sort of stuff. Which I was just saying, hey, why don't you just try role playing instead? And just role play the thing instead of trying to emulate what you would be seeing in a video game. And, I mean,
Yeah,
sure.
It's on his community tab.
Yeah.
On his channel.
That's what
Some of these RPGers on YouTube, they do these videos because they're thinking of writing their own RPG. Because, if you're a world builder, let's say you're a world builder, you're going to eventually want to be a system builder too.
Yes, I'm flexing. I flex the genre a lot. I go ahead and show them all my
flexing,
dice.
Someone said flexing in general, it just means you're showing off stuff on your YouTube channel. It doesn't have to be dice. Is that true? Or does flexing only occur with dice?
I've heard it used in different contexts.
Here, I'm gonna flex. I'm gonna show my flashlight from 1971.
And when you turn it on, it talks like this.
I flexed.
Hello, Shauner.
Oh, here's a flex. Here, who has one of these? Dun, 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 dun.
I actually have one of those.
Who's got this guy that goes with it? Dun, 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 dun.
Mine lost his legs.
These guys are what, 30 years old? The plastic is still plastic.
Easily 30 years.
I thought for sure these guys would like rot away or turn back into goo. But they're made in America, not the Hong Kong stuff. What else I got over there? Oh, I got this guy. This guy's looking for a space, someplace to rest.
Yeah, the White Knights definitely.
You can't see the thing.
White Knights, yeah. Well, you have your fake background going on. I can actually show the things. Yeah, they're all over the place, and the whole reality sets in Shauner's realm.
Oh,
There we go.
scary.
Beautiful.
Scary, scary. Ooh. Anyway. That's flexing, I guess. My die roller.
So based on a video we all saw, the guy total judge people about dice. Oh yeah, that one. That was the one that Shauner did. About the
What did I do?
was it guy who was talking about his dice, people flexing. He didn't like other people flexing their dice. And then what does he do? He
and then
he starts showing all his dice.
Yeah. Yeah. He spends 20 minutes talking about his dice. I need that reminds me I need to go buy like 30 or 40 bags of dice just because. Get some Tupperware bins and throw them in. Throw the Lego out. Fill it with dice.
Dice biceps, sorry. Yeah, no thanks. Well, I don't think he understands the, context of what I was talking about.
It's 1D versus 2D versus 3D. How do you get people to progress?
Yeah, and this is the thing I was trying to kind of get. Like, we're not trying to emulate anything that's a video game, movies, whatever it is, book. It's its own kind of thing because it has its own.
You can describe. You can describe action in a movie sense.
Yeah.
Like a chase scene.
But you're not going to have the 8 seconds, like flip.
You are not going to play Car Wars in my car chase game. We'll be here for 3 hours, and the cars will only have traveled 300 yards.
Exactly.
No, thank you. And that was fun. That was fun when you're 15, 16 years old. Like, hey, I got this $2.50 game from Steve Jackson. Let's open it up. Oh, wow. It comes with colored chits we have to cut out. Okay. I still have all my Car Wars stuff. I have GURPS Auto Duel. I have GURPS Car Wars, so I can roleplay Car Wars if I wanted to. But you can't roleplay Car Wars because it's written in GURPS.
It's way too many roles, way too much getting out of the context of the roleplay to roll dice. So to speak.
I'd rather use Mongoose Traveler to do a chase scene.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a great system. You can do anything in it.
I'm not going to measure how far a car is traveling. Oh, did you turn 30 degrees or only 15 degrees? And how fast were you going? What's your handling class? Are you the car? Can it handle that kind of a maneuver?
There would be way too much of that going on. It would just wouldn't make for very good viewing.
What ruined it for me is in Car Wars you can't commit suicide with a gun.
What? Is that explicitly written in the rules?
It takes 3 bullet shots to kill you. Your skull has 3 hit points. Like, oh, and the gun only shoots 1 hit point at a time. Boop.
Oh man.
The first one's like, ow. The second one is like unconscious, and then you can't even do the next one to kill yourself because you're unconscious. What was that? In Space Gamer magazine, there was Murphy's Law, little cartoon. It would point out rules like that in the games.
Huh.
Heck, even Traveler 5, you can't kill yourself with the gun in that game either. You can't kill an NPC with the hand pistol. It doesn't make enough damage to kill a guy. So we won't see anyone playing Traveler 5 anytime soon on the YouTubes. I just use it for making worlds and making interesting characters, backstories for characters, where they come from.
So I'm gonna try and get RPG Grandma into our next game session on Sunday. So I'm doing a one shot based basically in the world of Traveler that I have going on right now. So we're getting a character to get together for RPG Grandma as well.
You're gonna do like a session 0 kind of a thing?
I will have like a little preliminary kind of thing in the beginning. Everybody pretty much knows from the gamers in my current sessions. They know that this is going to be a thing where it's going to be like basically a do or die kind of a episode, not
okay.
with their characters, but with new characters. So
Yeah. Oh, I see.
so it's a totally new thing, but it's kind of a thing that I thought I would bring in order to reflect something of what's happening in the current situation of the with the players going 20 years into the future so that they can kind of have a retrospective of
Yeah,
in a different kind of light
that makes
what's
sense.
happening. So I thought it would be kind of a cool play on what was going on.
So it's a one shot then.
It's a one shot, yes.
I try not to say session 0 because it's hard enough saying role play without getting into fights. But nowadays, you can't even say session 0 without getting into fights. Everyone has their own view on what a session 0 means. Especially on Twitter. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Really? And then
So
Black Lodge Game says session -1, which I thought was clever. I never thought of a session -1 before, but that's apparently what I've done in the past without knowing that's what it's called.
right. I guess that's like just getting the idea out there first. Hey, I have this thing. Then when you have your session 0, it's like
Yeah.
everybody comes together and says, okay,
Yeah. I mean, some of that stuff involves character gen. I don't like doing character gen with the players. I want them to just have their alone time. They do that stuff. Private study. Come back to me when your character's made. Then we'll play.
yeah, that's what I did with these guys too. I just said, hey, go to Munson's site. I have the rules right here. Go ahead and
Yeah.
read through as you're doing it. You'll have a
Yeah.
better
'Cause
idea of
some
what
players
chart.
some players take their time doing a character. Some players just want to just randomly do something. Some players do the point by, Mongoose Traveler First Edition has point by rules. So you don't have to roll any dice. Whatever, it doesn't matter to me. I don't want to see the magics behind the curtain. Just show up with your character.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll glance at it and I'll know right away if you're cheating. I'll know right away. I'll be like, what is this? What is this? I can spot a cheat a mile away. But
What
my players are vetted. I know they're not going to cheat because they want to role play, live or die.
Sean says they like to play that way. It's a way to return to childhood nostalgia.
Get out the minis.
And I used to think like HR Puffin stuff was the cat's ass back in the day, but
Oh,
you go
yeah,
ahead
that was
and
so cool.
watch it now, and you're like,
probably-
what the fuck was I even watching back then?
It's Zardoz for kids.
Yeah, it's just
You
so
gotta
bizarre.
remember the '60s happened. Vietnam was still a thing, and drugs were all over the place. Nixon was president, and apparently that had no effect on civilization. So everyone did their own thing. Whatever feels good, do it. In the
Yeah.
middle of the road, even. So you got Lidsville, HR Puffin stuff, the other things. Zardoz.
Like it was and you go back and you watch these things and you go, it's not
Well,
as
for the adults, what did the adults had? Slaughterhouse-5 and The Man Who Fell to Earth. You had those movies out in the theaters too. And it was
Right.
like, oh. Then you had what was The Who? Quadrophenia? Stuff like that. It was just unending. It's like, when can we? Then the blockbuster came out, and we were happy for a change. Jaws, The Godfather, and Jaws had shown up. The beginning of better filmmaking.
as far as role playing went back then, it was kind of jokey, weird, and quirky, and sometimes we didn't really follow the rules because we were just so anxious to play. And
Also, you're a kid, right? You're
yeah.
probably a kid. You don't even know what half the vocabulary even means. What is
exactly.
what's the magic thing that starts with TH? I can't even pronounce that.
Thermajersey.
How do you say that when you're 14? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't even know what. I didn't read any fantasy, so I didn't know. Appendix N, I didn't care about it. I was a sci-fi guy. I wanted to do sci-fi stuff. I'd ask, is there a character that can do tech? Is there a character that can, like, build Dwemer weapons? Something like that. I was talking, like, Morrowind before there was Morrowind. That's the word. Say that.
Thaumaturgy.
GURPS has a whole book about it. GURPS has like 5 or 6 magic settings for GURPS, and that's one of them. It's like, I don't know what that is.
It's like pronouncing Melon Bonnet. Elric of Melon Bonnet.
Okay. Like
it's
Tuscany?
Melnaboyne. Melnabone. Manibone? So, yeah. But when it came to that, where was it? Oh yeah, the idea that they just want to relive your childhood nostalgia. I don't want to do that. That's for sure. Because when I actually got into a game where the game master said, okay, everything that you're saying here from now on is in character. Boom. And that's how we started playing. That was more or less in my 20s, in my mid-20s when that was happening. So it's and then when I encountered you, Sean, it was like I had gone through a phase where I ended up with the new guys who were playing, the Castles and Crusades, 3rd edition and 3.5, all that kind of stuff. And everybody was playing so differently. It was, I just kind of showed up and became part of that crowd. So seeing everybody was using maps, everybody was using tokens, everybody's using the virtual tabletop. And nobody was role-playing anymore. It wasn't, okay, guys, what you're saying from here on is in character.
Yeah.
Play. So
D&D 4 killed it for me, because before D&D 4, you'd still see people role-playing without minis at the table. Especially, there were still the vampire people and the werewolf people.
And I've never played with minis back in my youthful era, in the teens. I don't ever recall us ever pulling out minis and putting them on a map or anything like that.
Yeah,
it was always a theater of the mind thing.
I used a mini, but it was just something to look at to
it was like
focus
that's my
on.
Character
compared to your character. Cool. This is my character. The size, the height, the build, the weapon we're holding, just so the players all know what we all look like. That's what the mini was for. And we sat them on the table and we left them there. They weren't moving around or doing anything. And they were lead, so you could put them in your mouth and suck on them without dire straits. So I was told. I remember I dropped one guy's mini into a glass of Coca-Cola.
Oh, yeah?
I was holding it, and it slipped out of my hand and went bloop right into my drink. That was fun. Racing to the kitchen sink to rinse it off. I'm asking, do you have hard water or soft water? There's kind of a difference probably. But it came out fine. It wasn't sticky or nothing. And the paint didn't smudge or nothing.
The guy drank his Coke?
No, I dumped the Coke.
Oh, okay.
Got a refill. Yeah, we were going to play Harn. That happened during a Harn session. That session never started. I show up on time, prepared, and then the game never starts because the guys are shooting the breeze at the table, talking about real life stuff that happened at work. I'm like, Can we get the game going? I'm here for the game.
Yeah. Should have talked about this before we got into the game. Come on, guys.
Yeah. I
Um,
was waiting all week. I couldn't wait all week. I was like, I'm gonna be in a Harn game. I read the books and it sounds really cool. Low magic, realistic, medieval medieval Europe style setting with all the maps. And like, yeah, it sounds cool. It's not GURPS for a change because I was playing GURPS at the time.
so you were
happened.
playing the actual, what is it? Is it Roll Master that they use? Hard Master. So yeah, Hard Master, Roll Master.
No, it was just Harn Master. I guess it was just called Harn back then. This is back in 92, 93,
Okay.
maybe 94. I had GURPS 2.0 back then. I guess 3 was being printed out. Then I got the third version of GURPS. Was it GURPS 3rd edition revised? And I was like, okay, this is turning into a cluster. And I still wasn't engaged. I wasn't liking the thing. Then they fixed GURPS and they called it 4th edition. Everything's fixed. I'm like, yeah, this is way better. But man, you can't roleplay. How do you roleplay this game? You can't. They removed all the roleplay from the game. How do they manage that? Because the 1st edition of GURPS was all about roleplaying, supposedly. I mean, you had other games back then. SPI had their Dragon Quest. There was Rune Quest. There was, of course, D&D. What is it? 2nd edition was still a thing. Traveler had its Mega Traveler, which still could not be role played very much. It was still just charts.
Yeah, it's very charty.
And the referees were lazy. And I noticed this at the game stores. They would just roll 8 or higher. The difficulty never really changed much in the games. Like, just roll an 8 or higher. Like, come on. This game's boring. That's why I like Mongoose Traveler 2nd edition, because your target number is the difficulty.
Yeah. Makes it more interesting, more dynamic.
So what does this Cherry say here? The way the guys on the actual plays play the same way I did back in the 80s. It's one of the reasons I stopped gaming after D&D 2nd edition came out. Me and Sean Cherry are on the same page. It's like different hardcover editions, same rules inside.
The Forge.
The Forge. Some people don't like the Forge. Was that Luke Crane? Is that the guy? Yeah, me too. 2009, that's when I made my comeback. Mongoose Traveler 1st edition was out at Barnes & Noble. I bought it. I'm like, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I hear there's role-playing now in the game stores, so I go looking for game stores to role-play in. And there were some. 2009 was still a good year to find role-players. Mostly it was, games like third gen games like Fate and Savage Worlds. I couldn't get much into those.
Yeah, that was my when I started getting into the Castles and Crusades, and I believe I had a game that was going on. It was Monty Cook's Iron Heroes. Basically based off of like a 3.5 kind of D&D. So we were playing that for some time, and it was once again because I was being prompted to do maps and little tokens. That's what I was doing.
Was D&D 4 out by then?
I think that was I think it was a thing that was either just came out or was just coming out.
So I remember 2012.
It didn't last for long, though. It's kind of like a
there's
flash in a pan.
A lot of hate for it. The fake geek game girls would show up on YouTube doing their unboxing videos of D&D 4. Came in a slipcase with the 3 books. $100, I think, at the time. and they were going to do a video series on how to role play in D&D 4. And they got so much hate in their comments that the girls just quit. They just never posted again on YouTube. They
Oh,
were scared. Because there was a lot of hate for that game. Because that one forced you to use minis and maps. Which is weird. None of them said it's not a role-playing game, it's a board game. None of them said that. They just said you have to use minis with that.
yeah. And same, I think it was Gamma World. There was a new edition of Gamma World that came out, and it was
Yeah.
really weird because they were talking about card collecting, and I was just like, I just no, because
I mean, like, they were selling decks for the game.
I guess
that
so,
kind
or
of thing?
something like that.
Because 10 years ago, any game worth a hill of beans, also you could buy decks for. Even Traveler 5, you can buy deck cards for.
yeah.
I know Savage Worlds was big on them.
Yeah.
Sean,
yeah.
did you have any deck cards for your Savage Worlds to assist in encounters and combat things, situations?
I think the way it was used is a lot different in Savage Worlds than it would be, say, for the Gamma World ones, because it almost felt like Gamma World was like giving you new powers and everything and stuff as you collected up these cards. So it felt like a kind of like a gotcha kind of game.
I found a Rubik's Cube that's solved. What the heck? It's got mirror, gray, dark gray, black, light black, and white.
The secret
Yeah.
is it's phase it's what's called that
And
phase shifting, so it looks like different colors when you look at it from a different angle.
It's got mirror on one side and then just sticker on one side. So ranges of gray and ranges of reflectiveness. That's how you decide what the sides are. I forgot I even had that Rubik's Cube. I'm gonna have to mix that one up one day.
A huge collection of it. I think it had some good ideas in it, which I kind of used, which is basically, if you're fighting something rather insignificant, it's going to go down in one shot. If it's
Yeah, minions.
Minions.
Minions and
ideas.
peons. Or henchmen type things.
If they're tougher, yeah, 2 shots. If they rolled really good on 1 shot, then they get the second shot in there as well. So it's like extra damage. So I kind of use that kind of aspect of it.
I'd rather do that. I'd rather have it that way than have eagles just show up out of nowhere and pick the player characters out of the battle and fly them off to safety somewhere.
He said
extra rolls. That's what I was thinking of.
Yes.
So I know the Savage World cheerleader. I know he used decks. He had videos on all the decks that he would buy. Deck card unboxing videos.
Yeah. So yeah,
I did some artwork for Traveler 5's decks, but I never bought any deck cards for some reason. And now they're hard to find. Yeah, you don't need them for play. They're just not so much embellishment, but just quick ideas for the GM. Quick situational circumstance type things. Instead of rolling on a table, you just pull a card from the deck. Hey, it's raining. Hey, it's radioactive rain. Hey, it's...
That's why I like my cipher cards. They come up with
the
some
cards
good,
up into
good ideas.
Outdoor things, indoor things, loot chest things, weapon in the locker room things. You just pull a card to see what's available. Even plot hooks and things.
Exactly. It's good stuff. Good ways to kind of exercise your mind. Get that, improvisation starting.
If you're doing Mindscapes at 3 in the morning and you're dead tired and you have to be at work in 2 hours, you're like, oh, I can't think anymore. I need a card.
Yeah. You know me,
done-
Sean.
I've
I
done
don't go past like 90 minutes on a session.
I try not to go past 5 hours, but it's
5
happened.
hours. Oh. I can't imagine.
I mean, if everyone's plugged in and they're immersed, how do you break that? How do you
Yeah, you know.
just click off the StreamYard at once? Just click it off. Where'd Shauner go? Oh no, I guess the session's over. He had to go home. But yeah,
Yep.
3 or 4 hours can go by and it feels like only 45 minutes.
Yeah. I mean, I've been guilty of doing that with my players on a couple of early ones where we didn't have the timer, and I regretted it. So,
Yeah.
because I have stuff to do in the morning, kind of idea. So,
That's the other thing. You need cards for if you're going overseas because, I mean, there's not a whole lot of content for naval battles in RPGs. And no one's going to buy a bunch of blue battle maps. That's not going to happen. No one has ships. No one has ships. So you're going to shortcut it on a card. You encounter, on your way to such and such, you encounter space, water pirates.
it's funny you just said
land
that,
sharks.
and just hold on
A
here.
crew of sea sharks, ghost sea sharks, on a vessel coming right at you. And the encounter will last, I don't know, 30 minutes maybe at tops. What do you got there? Uh-oh, the battle maps. How long can you keep those things rolled up for before they stay rolled up?
Well, you just have to warm them up, and they'll flatten out.
Oh, okay.
This one
Because
here,
I got
it's
one.
just,
I got one. I know if I unfold it or unroll it, it's gonna have lumps.
this is the one with the
Space, or is that water? That's space.
white side as well. Hexes on both, and they did have the blue ones for water. I picked up this one because space, and I have
'Cause-
some space games.
Yeah, cards just help if there's an encounter along the way. Otherwise, you have to break out the water map, play Water World.
Yeah, or something like that.
You're out in the middle of nowhere. You're
And
gonna
then-
join the Navy, see the world, and by the way, the world is 70% water, and you're gonna see all of it. That kind of thing.
Every day for the next 4
It's
weeks.
For 6 months, you're staring out at water.
No wonder,
Sometimes.
after a while they started going stir crazy, and by the time they got to see the manatees, they were like, "There's women in them."
I guess. Get them drunk enough. Take me with you.
Well, I mean that was pretty much it. My little thing about the little comment section, but I thought it was kind of an interesting read to kind of see people's insights on that kind of stuff, and having you, Shauner, show up and
Well, now I'm curious now what he's gonna do with his series. He's gonna world build a Zelda for D&D, or he's going to make his own Zelda setting using some other rules. Convert
knows?
the video game to paper.
I think he's just trying to pull little ideas out from a Zelda game in order to kind of give you some ideas of how cool some of the Zelda stuff was and how you could use it for your own kind of role-playing games. Well, your
I would
board
think
gaming games.
if you do a Google search, I bet you there's already Zelda websites converted to D&D.
This version of Zelda, I was just told today, because one of my coworkers is like really into like all those kinds of games. He was saying that, and I've seen this. They've actually have people out there. They've got little parts that they put together like Legos in this Zelda game.
Okay.
So they're like building all these kind of automatons and stuff that they use to go ahead and basically go over top of the monster that they're fighting and start beaming down death rays upon them. And it's like, wow, they're like they ended up giving them a set of Legos that they could use, which the players are like totally, doing all kinds of weird, elaborate things with, making the creations move on their own, think on their own, do all that kind of stuff. It's kind of neat. I've seen a few videos on that. So it's an interesting kind of thing, It's but in its own kind of thing. I'm not a huge Zelda fan myself.
Yeah,
Say
my brothers
my
played
kids are
all the Zelda stuff, and they played all the Final Fantasy stuff. I don't know. I was playing Half-Life and Total Annihilation
yeah.
and
Those are
Supreme
cool
Commander.
games. Supreme Commander, yeah.
And
Yeah,
then I discovered Elder Scrolls, and I've been stuck ever since with Elder Scrolls. Got 900 mods in my Skyrim right now.
Oh
It's
God.
crazy.
Like I say, if you start playing the VR Skyrim, we're gonna lose you.
Do you walk around like this with your hands and your face going? I see the videos where the guy picks up a kid and slaps the kid around. The kid's got.
I could touch everything.
Boobies, boobies, boobies.
Boobies. Give me all the booby mods.
But when you squeeze the glove, do you get the feedback that you're holding something like a sword?
I don't have gloves or anything. I don't know. I just have the little wand thingies.
You disappoint me.
I'm
I
not.
you have the gloves.
No,
That
I
way,
don't
when you
have,
pick up the great sword, you can actually feel the heft of it in your hand. Oh, yes.
you never know. I'll have to see what haptic gloves are going to be priced at, because they're kind of still in their infancy, so nobody's actually producing like good quality haptic gloves yet.
Okay.
That is a thing it will be coming up. They do have the things where you put like a kind of a suit on you, and you can feel when bullets hit you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've seen those.
And
when
the
you
other
die in the game, you die in
boy.
real life.
Boy, could you imagine?
If you get electrocuted, the suit electrocutes you and you burn alive.
Worlds initiated of other randomizers. And yeah, it's always been a kids game. I mean, it's still popular with younger adults, I guess. And like I say, my kids,
Well, it's
kids
popular,
are in their,
it's more popular than D&D.
kids
Imagine if
are in
D&D
their
was a
20s.
console game for 10 years. How popular it would be right now if it was like on Xbox. D&D, the such and such quest. Blah, blah, blah. The continuing King's Quest of D&D. Put that on Xbox or PlayStation 7. Everyone in their house would be playing D&D if it was on console. But no. You have to go to Crown Books or B. Dalton or Barnes & Noble and pick up a hardcover book that you have to read. Kids can't read. Kids coming out of school now can't read. What is that book going to do for them?
And Big Bad is saying something really true here, because I did notice that there was every game, every Zelda or Legend of Zelda or Link, every game has been something different. And I think one of my favorite games of Zelda that I've ever played ever. I played a few of them. Is the one where you have the Wii bow and you're like shooting everything. It's like a shooting gallery. That was my favorite because you know you're kind of like shooting stuff and as a it's pretty cool.
Yeah, those games always have to change with the times.
Yeah,
Sort of like Leisure Suit Larry, still a thing. I remember that game from the Apple II days.
why are you bringing this up, Shawner? Why are you bringing up
Leisure Suit Larry is like how many? Like it's like the 12th version now
Oh,
of the
God.
game. He still wears the same outfit.
Well, it was it was
What's
in,
another game that's changed drastically each time it's come out? Just to stay relevant with the times and things. Oh, Mario Brothers. Remember, Mario Brothers used to be Donkey Kong. Now it's like guys racing around in cars and stuff.
exactly. Yeah, it's
3D.
Mario Party has been a favorite with my family too. So
I remember people saying on the Game Boy, this Mario World thing, it can't get any better than this. And then now
then
people
they
want to
had
see it in the
Mario
theater.
Mario Galaxy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever played Mario Galaxy? Ever?
No, I played
Oh, it's-
something called Smash Brothers or something. And I can't remember what that even was. Are you trying to knock someone off a playing field to their
Right.
death?
Yeah.
Sounds kind of violent to me. The other game I played a lot was some sort of Lego Star Wars. And that was around 2005 on an Xbox. And all I remember doing is picking Princess Leia and having her stand on Luke Skywalker's flying car thing on the hood. She
Okay.
would stand on the hood and just do her dance. There was a button on the console that would make her dance. And when I would just hold down the button and say, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's all I would do. And the kids would go crazy. Shawner, knock it off. We're trying to play the game. Because when I'm standing on the hood of the air speeder thing, land speeder, whatever it's called, the guy, whoever is driving that thing, could do all kinds of stunts with it, and I would never come off the hood. There was no physics of anything.
Physics, yeah.
So like I'm standing in the way. Someone else is trying to shoot from the car, but I'm standing in the way on the hood, going ooh. I'm doing that Hawaiian
Hula
thing
dance.
the thing that's on the dashboard of some cars back in the 60s.
The hula dance.
Yeah, I would be doing that kind of. You press the certain button. I don't know if it was a hidden thing from a magazine, some combo button combination to make her dance. I said, "Get out and fight. You're supposed to. Here, take one of my lightsabers and fight with us." I'm like, "No, I'm gonna dance." That's all I would do. I'm role playing in your Lego game. They hated that. Drove them nuts.
You ever
And
played
then-
the hydrofoil Navy game?
Don't know what that is.
Apple?
I played Silent Service. Was that the name of a game? Yeah, Oregon Trail. I remember that one on the Atari computer.
There was always that exploratory game where you're playing in the Starship Endeavor, and it was all it was like was a bunch of like the little asterisks for the stars. You would like move from one spot to the next.
What was that on?
It was in on a Mac. Well, an Apple. Apple
Reminds
computer
me
back
of the old Star Trek games I played in the 70s.
It was yeah, but the ship was called the Endeavor, and because I remember that, and yeah, it was basically a grid kind of base game, and you moved around on this grid, and you could see that there was like little asterisks everywhere for the stars and
In the
with
comment,
counters.
I'm going to type what the Enterprise looked like. If I can get it to do the thing. Okay, the Enterprise looked like that in the game back in the 70s. And if you saw one of these, that was a Romulan coming at you.
Hold on, let me see. Were you typing that in the... Oh, there we go. Okay.
It's in the chat. Oh, and if you saw one of these, if you saw that, that was a starbase that you could dock up to and get refueled, more torpedoes, that kind of thing. Back in 1974, Mike Mayfield, he uploaded his Star Trek game to all of the mainframes. It was glorious. And I would go in there and change the source code on my end so I could cheat.
So you could win the game.
Well, your energy would be, you'd start out with like 100,000 energy. And I would change it to 1,000, or I'd type E to 1 plus E to the something power. That would be how much energy I had. So I never had to worry about running out of phaser power. And I would type, instead of 30 photon torpedoes, I'd put in 300.
Yeah, Pong. Pong, and there was also the hockey version of Pong where you would have two paddles, and the two paddles would be like...
Yeah.
Yeah, those were the days. Things were so simple, easy. We were easily entertained.
Yeah, when I was back in '73, I'd go to Shakey's Pizza, and for a dime, you could play Cat and Mouse or Space Chase. And they had some of those arcade games in that movie, Soylent Green. And the things were made just a mile or two from where I live. Which I didn't know.
Was that the computer perfection? Remember that one? It was kind of like a bulbous kind of thing with a...
Yeah,
it had like a little...
It was called Tektronix, and they made the circuits, and I don't know if they made the fiberglass shell for it.
Well, you're talking about pizza, Shauner, and that's making me hungry.
What? I wasn't talking about pizza.
You did.
Uh-uh.
You mentioned it.
Today?
Yeah.
Maybe in a video. You probably
Talking
watched a
pizza.
video. But that reminds me, though, I should probably get some pizza.
Exactly. We're doing the pizza thing. I thank you, Shauner, for popping in and going through the comments with me and giving your thoughts. Pretty interesting insight on...
Well, I learned about Zelda.
2D players and 3D players. And 1D players.
1D players, yeah.
1D players.
They just stay in the same square and never move.
That's right.
But they participate
just roll
with the
dice.
party.
Just roll the
Yeah.
dice.
They're the ones that roll for initiative and do perception rolls. That's all they do, because they don't utter a word during the game. Points of light.
So yeah, something we have to deal with other players that don't know what the role playing is.
You don't have to deal with them. Just ignore them.
Yeah, I guess.
Your job is to find soul survivors out there that have burned out on the hobby because they've tried to role play with nincompoops.
Well,
Is
yeah.
that a word?
Hopefully, somebody in that stream of
That's why we have YouTube
comments,
videos, so they find us.
Comments. Yeah, if you're watching this and manage to get through the 2 hours and 24 minutes, I'll have some links down below of other channels. Once again, that are more pro role playing. So, anyways, thanks again, Sean, for popping in. We'll talk to everybody later.
See
Go
you
ahead
later.
and do that thing. I have things that do things here.
Hey, since you made it this far in the video at the end, you may as well hit that subscribe button. Because it's free. Honest, it's free. Just go ahead and hit it. I'm learning stuff. You're learning stuff. We all learn together. Subscribe. Just do it.